Live.
Everybody, just to let you know, the camera is live right now, so they can hear whatever you're saying and stuff like that. So just be careful what you're saying.
I don't know who he is.
But it was in there.
And where's everyone? Okay, but
Robert, come here, please.
And he's like, it didn't hurt you that the lights shining into our window.
Guys, if you want, you can sit over on that side too. We just can't have anybody in front of this camera.
Yeah.
Jamie, how many people would you say are here?
50 maybe. I'm gonna say
People watch this.
If we can get everybody to take a seat, please.
Ladies, smudge. Here, smudge.
I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered here and broadcasting from Treaty 6, the traditional land of the First Nations people, which is also homeland to the Métis people. Through this acknowledgement, we wish to convey our respect for the history and culture of all people who first gathered on these lands. Good morning, everyone. I am Nancy Broadbent, the President and CEO of Portage College. Today I'm very honored that our college is hosting a sunrise ceremony to commemorate the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. I wish to provide you a warm welcome to everyone who is gathered here with us and to those who are watching the live stream or will be later watching our recording. Thank you for joining us in this important ceremony. It's now my honor to welcome your Lector Saint Arnaud, who will provide blessings and teachings to open our ceremony.
Good morning. Nananaskong tao at ibatapit. Managa, Amao, in Dodgetak, Siwatsu. The was quite more of Dawson Snow. That is Matt Stardust. That's Daimar. You will mask. Kaki Oga, Shag, Skysino, Ossak. You're gonna get much. The Mamma to Nimayako. O Tinigan, Piti taman ko ay ma. Kisinga. Kisno amot kitasam. Tapmons. No ta. Skop no kisinga. En kapie maoya kisinga. Mga kitamaga no kitasam sak. Bos kaga. Mau asina mo. Manstota ko. Kiva maitimito. Sani sito. Kitamaga no unan. Mga mako. Gusto itaksiya. Sino. Maiwi. Mga kitamaga. Pagnutan. Pagsigaw. Pagsigaw. Tago ay kisko. Gusto ba? May ostiga po. Tiga. Tasto ba yun? Sani sito. Tamata. Kitamagi. Kitamaga no. Ito asimsak. Ang gawin ang gista. Kamuha kong ko. Ang gistan mo. Hiya kay mulik tawag tayo. Kahit mayot na maso, Gino, gamito yan. Maya sa ako yung mga kone ko na musikirasta. May wabotista. Saan isa ko kabata. Ano ta? Ito pa panuta manang kikisiyot soon. Kikisiyot kap mga magano. Kung gusto ka po yan. May siya yun. May mas ko pinag-isultan. Kita tos ko. Tasang siya. Exposed mo ko.
Thank you so much, Elder Jack Singarno. Sorry. We're very proud and blessed to have our elder as one of our members of our arts and culture program, one of our students. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce someone who has a very special connection to Portage College, going back to his late father, the late David McGilvery, who was part of many, many round dances and ceremonies, providing us teachings and blessings throughout the years. Darcy McGilvery is absolutely dedicated to helping us learn and grow. He's an addictions counselor at the Saddle Lake Eagle Healing Lodge, a community leader, and a knowledge keeper. Our staff and students have been honored with his many teaching and guidance over the years. Please join me in welcoming our ceremony leader today, Mr. Darcy McGilvery.
Aho. Tamskat na o kakyo. Maganista inote nigan ikakwe. Nanas kumuhan nista. Mamutawi no katakis kao. Imigo siya kakyo. Ase mina yuap ma ake gunek sagahaganak. O simsak chapanak simnot. Magatapoy umuma anots. Ay mani kapik skwawan. Tansi sumay ipe situs kage anots umuta. Magatapoy tamina. Eh, chumak pakse mamamutaw, kape soy skakyo kisto. Nanas ko maakmi na ugu gek atos kaya na Portage administration ay go mina town of Laclabish. Tamaksin wagumagan teknista sky Cynthia. Elgo institutamoen. Tapoy mana nista tene imam siyan nisto mamutawi no. Kape witse hit osam egulek gitem no tene Michet ase wana ipute technique on wheel wall.
Magani nanu ta kya peti mute a tene muche iwawa siwi a kya peti. El go tapo gate wen el pitahan tipahan el go. Itim pagse mamutaw inoka timagnas timagnon. Maga anots nanaskut na ay hi. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I wanted to thank you. I give thanks in our language the best way I know how, and I've thanked Creator for another beautiful day to see our children, to see our loved ones, to see our friends and family. I give thanks for the many blessings He's bestowed upon us. I also give thanks for the invite from the administration, Portage, the town of Lac-La-Biche, and everybody involved with this gathering, this special occasion. A couple of years ago, when we began this journey of remembrance, was when the time the announcement in Tecumseh of the over 200 children, 215, I believe, was one of the numbers that came out. And all of a sudden, Canada, nation, the world began to open its eyes about the seriousness of what we're here to talk about today. You know, when we say the effects, the harmful, lasting effects, the generational layers of trauma related to residential school, we can go very deep. But it's just an instance like that when we talk about the reality of it. Because when a nation is able to identify actual bodies, physical evidence that this type of tragedy actually happened, it was a reality that we could not deny. Government couldn't deny it. Churches couldn't deny it. The politicians themselves that were way back early 1800s, middle 1800s into the 1900s. It wasn't until then that we began to open our eyes. The people the naysayers that continue to say, get over it, get over it. They took a look in the mirror and they said, am I right in saying stuff like this to the people? Because now, somewhere within their spirit, they were able to realize that this is real. This is something that we would never wish upon humanity. So now, fast forward 2020s, when it was identified Tecumseh. Then following that, there was some other discoveries. I wouldn't say discoveries because our ancestors were always there. They were laying there, the children, toddlers, little ones. And then we look at our own children and we realize, oh my goodness, how can a little child be exposed to that kind of treatment? You know, when we replay it in our minds, it becomes more traumatic, and we have to find that outlet, that safe outlet that we're trying to do today, which is awareness, education, sharing, understanding, patience, ceremony. As you've seen today, when we smudged the people, we always begin with ceremony. We begin with prayer. And in any denomination, usually prayer leads the way. The the teachings that go along with what we're going to do here today is on behalf of the children that have never been able to come home. They're still out there somewheres. They're still by those schools, undisturbed. My nation itself, Saddle Lake, is no different. With the Blue Quills University, they're actually doing ground penetration work as we speak. This number we talk about here in Canada has been exposed, and it's going to grow. And now, along with that, I think somewhere along the line, we as human beings, not just Indigenous First Peoples of the land, but in human beings, our spirit tells us to be gentle to one another now. We have to find that medium where we can allow ourselves to be open-minded now. With that, I wanted to thank each and every one of you. I've thanked the organizers, the town, the mayor. I wanted to acknowledge we have one of our local leaders, one of the chief from Beaver Lake, Mr. Lehman. I wanted to thank Chief Lehman for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move forward into the drum song. We're gonna continue to carry on with the program, and this next song. Before we get to the morning song, we're gonna acknowledge that drum properly, and we're gonna do a drum song. And a drum song, as explained to us from the elders, from the older singers, is to awaken that spirit. As you heard the elders speak and pray earlier, he continued to mention Nuta, Mamodawi, no. Elgo Ata Gush. In our language, Ata Gush, spirit. As you look at the stars, Mina, at nighttime, Egonik Ata Gush, spirits. That are drums. It don't matter if it's hand drum, big drum. It's in us, in our language and in our culture, we continue to believe that's a grandfather spirit, along with the grandmother spirit. They tell us that the drum actually comes from the womanhood, from the woman's side. There's stories, legends behind the drum. Where did it come from? So we're going to explain a little bit later as we get further into the program. We have a couple of our resource people here. We got some dancers that are going to perform for you, along with other nations who are here. So we're going to ask the drummers to perform two songs, drum song, and then we're going to go into that morning song, and then we're going to also move into the guest speaker portion. Okay, so with that, drum song, and then I'll give a quick explanation on the morning song. Aho.
Thank you for that, singers. Enote, nanas kamao mi na kitem no hanots. Egonik, imam tane man. Choa sim uskai sak. Mi ted tene itima chek ekte snow marks chek. Uite, omuta, Canada. Nanas kamao nots. Imam tane man. I wanted to thank the elder this morning for saying that prayer on behalf of the faculty, students, student body, on behalf of the college and the town. We have a lot of different, as I would say, talented people that come from their nations to bring forward their gift today. I wanted to thank you for your patience. It is a little chilly this morning, but we're gonna warm it up pretty quick here. So this next song was composed by a relative of ours. A very when he continued on to his journey into into our everlasting hunting grounds, Elder Eugene Cardinal. Once again, we had lost an elder that was very instrumental all over the country and beyond the medicine line down into the states. He had did some international traveling also to share his gift and knowledge of some of our culture. He had composed this next song, and in the words, just listen to the words. The words themselves, they explain to you to rise up, the energy we need to begin the day. As you look around, Egonek, BS, the birds, they're already singing. It's time for you to get up too. Such beautiful country we have, and the eyesight is something to behold. Elgo, you'll listen to those words in this song. I wanted to also make recognition of some of our local elders. Leonard Jackson is in attendance. I wanted to acknowledge him too. Thank you for that. So we're going to get right into that morning song. Hi. Thank you for that, singers. I wanted to introduce to you very quickly here some of the singers we have. I wanted to introduce to you Lyron McGillivray. Lyron, give a wave to the crowd. Lyron is one of our young leaders in the community, very instrumental in helping the young singers, the young men. He's also a composer. He's a drumstick maker. A lot of his drumsticks are all over Indian country. Some of the big name groups are now asking for his work, and we wanted to thank Larry for being here. Next, I'd like to introduce to you is Elijah Tekisam. Where are you, Elijah? He's walking over there. He's gonna grab coffee. Elijah's my nephew. That's my brother Ferlin. His biological son, but he's also like a son to us. And Elijah is also another young leader in the community. He's a mentor. He was working at the Bush Girls Club, among many other trades. He's a carpenter by trade. He's clean, abstinent, drug and alcohol free, and things like that. Our community, we're striving for excellence in a lot of areas, and our children need a positive role model. We want to thank Elijah. Next one I wanted to introduce you is Liam Tekis. Liam, give a wave to the crowd. Liam has actually just got back from the road trip. They came back from Manitoba. This young group, there was about 8, 9 of them, 10 of them. They went to Manitoba. They fundraised and they went all the way down to Manitoba. I believe it was a 12-hour drive, 13 hours, and they went to a powwow over there. And they went under the heading Satellite Kihel Wasani Singers. They represented the high school because these 3 young men also sing with the local high school drum group, and they're getting the name out there once again. And I was so proud of them that they went all the way over there, and they were hanging with the big groups, and they gave it their best, and they came home stronger and smarter and experienced. So I wanted to thank Liam. Liam actually sings with Pre-Confederation. He kind of also graduated to some of the more prominent drum groups. that song you just heard, once again, composed by Elder Eugene Cardinal out of Kihiwan. Kihiwan, and also he has ties to Saddle Lake. His family, his relatives are from Kihiwan, from Saddle Lake. And that song is sung in a lot of the elementary schools, high schools, colleges in the morning. That's our national anthem in a lot of ways. Along with that drum, that first song, we sing "Oh Canada." Well, this is one of our songs that we sing. I wanted to thank you for the patience. This next person I wanted to introduce to you is one of the ladies that's been very instrumental and very encouraging in a lot of ways. When we come to into La Claviche or any other township we see her at, she's very encouraging. She continues to keep up the work. I believe there's a reason why we are put in the paths of one another, and she's one of them. She continues to do a lot of work, a lot of humanitarian work, PR work on behalf of the college, the township, the student body. I wanted to introduce to you CEO and President of Portage College, Mrs. Nancy Broadbent.
Thank you very much, Darcy. This morning, as part of our third sunrise ceremony, we had the pleasure of experiencing the essence of the college gifted name, Pitapan, a Cree word meaning new dawn. This name was given to the college by our First Nation and Métis founders after the 26-day sit-in, which occurred in 1970 to keep our doors open. The sunrise ceremony has been one of the many events that we've hosted this month. We are also co-hosting with Rural Development Network a speaker series focused on Indigenous people's resiliency. I cannot think of anyone who is more resilient than those brave people who used their collective voices, were persistent, and stood up for what they believed in, which was education for their people. We're very proud of our history, and we are honored to continue to walk in a good way as allies with our Indigenous neighbors and friends. Please do join us for the third in our speaker series at 11 o'clock in our Wanscott room. National Truth and Reconciliation Day calls upon us to remember and honor the children who never had the chance to come home from residential and day schools, and for those that did, but suffered greatly in those schools. When we think about the children who never returned from those schools, we remember their dreams, their hopes, and the futures that were unjustly taken from them. We remember that they were denied the chance to learn and develop, denied the comfort and love of their families, and denied the freedom to celebrate their Indigenous culture. As part of our commitment to reconciliation this year, we are presenting school supplies in memory of those children who were denied their right to education, culture, and family. That's what the bags are here beside me. These supplies symbolize our commitment to ensuring that every child has the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive in an environment of respect, inclusion, and love. They symbolize our commitment to education as a means of healing, reconciliation, and empowerment. Let us all educate ourselves and others about the rich cultures, traditions, and histories of the Indigenous peoples. Let us ensure that the stories of the children who never came home are heard and acknowledged so that their suffering was not in vain. Let their memory inspire us all to work tirelessly towards reconciliation and a better future. I look forward to walking tomorrow in honor of National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Thank you so much to everyone who has participated in our sunrise ceremony today. Hi, Marcy.
Thank you, Mr. Broadbent. We wanted to give a big shout out to all the countless people in who are viewing this feed right now, all over the campus, all over the cyber world, as we call it. And she just mentioned some key points here on why we're here. This movement that is before us today is one of recognition, one of remembrance of the little children, the students, the mandate that was set forward initially in the middle 1800s, late 1800s, into the early 1900s. The government of Canada took it upon themselves to begin, as we say, a mandate to take the Indian out of the child. Therefore, institutions, big buildings were built. Children were scooped up from their families. They were literally ripped out of their parents' arms. No choice. If the parents tried to prevent the schools, the priests, the nuns from taking those children, the parents were arrested. There was literally no choice for the children to go along to attend those schools. A lot of the children ended up they'd run away from the schools. They would freeze in a bush. They would go hide. They would end up passing away in a bush on their own, by themselves, lonely, starving, scared, not knowing. Just the number itself of the unaccounted reports is astounding. And we're just beginning to acknowledge and understand the numbers reported from these ground penetrations is inaccurate, because the records from the schools themselves are not 100% accurate of who all attended. We are told from the professionals that continue to work with the nations that this number is in the thousands. That's what we have to be proud of. Canada. Today is not about shaming. Let's put that out there right now. Today is not about shaming Canada. We have a lot to be proud of. I agree. But at the same time, we are here to recognize and understand there's a bigger picture here. I believe we have both grown the Indigenous population and a non-Indigenous population. Canada, we say Kanata, clean land, clean earth. I was asked the elders many times, where did the word Canada come from, the word the country? They said when the elders back then were signing the treaties, they would speak Cree or the languages wherever the treaties were being signed. Canada. And the word Canada was kind of interpreted that way. That was one of the stories, just one of them. I want to thank Miss Nancy Broadbent for her tireless work, her encouraging work. She is also one of the tips of the spear, as we call it, to make sure that we continue these kind of events. Next, I'd like to introduce you to a lovely young lady, composer. Her handle stage name is Soul. 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 Soul is a young lady from Grimshaw, Alberta. She is also attending the Portage College in the Aboriginal Arts Certification Program. She's an aspiring young singer, songwriter, and she'll be doing two original songs for us. She has composed these songs. One of the songs is titled Uncovered. The second song that she'll follow up with is Reconcile, which Soul has composed after the first round of 215 children were found. I believe in 2021, 2020, the announcements were coming out, and it was a shock. Everybody was, what? No way. Yeah, wait. So please, let's make welcome for Soul.
Hi, thank you for coming. So my song Uncovered, I wrote around the first reconciliation event after the 215 was discovered. And it really struck me as horrifying because I have 3 elders in my family who I'm directly descended from, who all went to residential school. And only one of them is alive right now and has found healing and is now a respected elder in our community. The others continue to suffer because they could not find healing, and that trauma just stayed with them. So now I will sing my song Uncovered. Hold on, stay high. My hands on They've been in dark, so you walk on by. They labored so you could run. Hear their pain and sorrow. Feel their warmth tomorrow. Neighbors have song for you. The very sea you have grown. Their fingers have blessed. They stand thinking of you. The children always searching for you in their dreams. Though they don't know you, they love you. Longing to know you in their arms. Oh, you are I could save you, beautiful thank you, 'cause I am too late now. You're flying in the sky, beautiful now, and you close your eyes right now. Because you are free, I'm among the clouds. We Thank you.
Thank you. So, wanted to take a moment to let that very powerful message sink in for a moment. It's through the composing. A lot of these songs come to these artists through visions, through dreams. And as you witnessed just now, something within her remembered those little ones, those children. She said, "We're free now." And that resonates a lot with what we're trying to do. When we light that smudge and when we say those prayers, we ask the Creator to carry them so they can be heard on behalf of our people, on behalf of everyone, that we are sorry. When we talk about reconciliation, true reconciliation, what does that mean? I've been asked this question 2 years ago when I stood here. What does reconciliation mean to me? The word, I'm sorry. Anybody can say I'm sorry, but if you truly mean it, you'll begin to make steps and progress towards working together and understanding one's culture, one's traditions, one's ceremonies, one's language, one's education. Because before Columbus had come to these lands, we had all that. The people of these lands had their own system that we lived with, our own laws, our own education system, the way we taught our children, our own language. But now we move forward and we ask our leaders to speak on behalf of the countless little children that are yet to come, the thousands of families that have been affected. Because now, when we talk about multi-generational trauma, the after effects that we're left with, broken families, addictions, mental health, we put that responsibility upon our leaders to go to bat for us, and they work on with the governments from the provincial level to the federal level. Confederacy chiefs to AFN in Ottawa. They begin to hammer away to get them to understand that their way is not only the only way. They have to make that message very clear that we have a right to be here also. We are human beings and we have feelings, we have emotions, and we have spirit. The general population has begun to understand that the indigenous people have gifts. We have culture, like many other cultures. Ours also is very powerful. And I wanted to thank Soul for those wonderful, beautiful, beautiful, powerful songs. And I'm sure I was looking around the crowd and a lot of people must have felt it too. Next, I'd like to introduce one of our instrumental leaders in our area here. As I had mentioned, this young gentleman, I'd like to call him young. He's as old as me. But he is also a leader who's passionate about his people. Because the work he's doing right now is not a light work. It's a work that involves pressure and passion. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lehman, Chief Lehman from Beaver Lake. Can you step forward? So with that, let's welcome him. How?
Asimanto, na skuntanan, si Payaw. Tatamskat no kakio. Yuyak kau tepet kihaw, di chikaso. Misko sa gaigan, ochinia. I just want to say good morning to you all. Greetings. And thank you to the Creator. Thank you to our elder for the wonderful prayer. Thank you to our drum, our singers. I just want to mention that, our drum, when a child is in the womb, the first thing that they hear is a heartbeat. And you listen to that drum, that's what you hear. You hear a heartbeat. So when children are around the drum, a lot of times they'll be really calm and quiet. They relate to it because that's the first thing that they hear, that heartbeat. So I want to acknowledge that we're here at what used to be Peitapan. And it was mentioned before by Nancy that that was the name of the college. And my late father, Al Lehman, he was one of the first board members of Peitapan. I myself am an alumnus. Had a couple of years that I came to school here, wonderful years. I have a lot of great memories of Portage College. It was ABC back then. So I wanted to also mention that I don't know if anybody ever saw on YouTube the one elder from Kamloops. He said that poem, "I hate you, residential school." And it started off really bitter, angry, talking about the pain that was inflicted upon him and how when he saw that residential school, that just brought back all these bitter memories. At the end of the poem, and I encourage you, if you haven't seen this bit of footage, look it up. I hate your residential school. At the end of it, what he does is he reconciles with the residential school. He realizes that the residential school was not his enemy, and that he could let his anger go, his hatred, and that's very important to people who have suffered from the effects of residential school. Letting it go, forgiveness, and that's one of the toughest things that people that suffer from this. That's the toughest thing that they have to deal with is forgiveness. And Darcy mentioned that he's an addictions counselor. I myself was an addictions counselor for many years, and one of the toughest things that we deal with, we have to get through to our clients, is to forgive. Okay. My late father, my mother, were residential school survivors. My late grandmother was a residential school survivor. I didn't get to know my grandmother on my mom's side, and she possibly was too. You'll notice that I speak pretty good English, and I struggle with my Cree language. That's a residential school effect. Okay? We talk about colonization, and that's where it comes from. Taking the Indian out of that child, is what they say. So, as we're here today, we're gathered here today. Part of what we're doing is the reconciliation part of it, coming together and understanding each other, getting to know each other. Because First Nation people have not been understood very well in the past. So I just want to say that this is a wonderful thing that Portage College is doing. And I keep bugging Nancy about something, and I'll mention it again. You have the Canadian flag, the Alberta flag, the Métis flag. You gotta get that Treaty 6 flag up there. Yeah. But I just once again I want to greet you all. Thank you all for coming. I had a lot more that I wanted to say, but a lot of people that come up and speak, you know what I mean. Something just it'll come out of your head and you can't remember it. So thank you all, and thank you Nancy for inviting me. Uksamaga. Hi hi.
Thank you, Chief Lehman. I wanted to make mention. You heard Chief talk about his late father, Al. Al Lehman was one of the longest-serving chiefs in our territory. I believe he was 34 years. He was a chief for his nation. 34 years. I only served 3 years in council in Saddle Lake, and those 3 years were very tough. I can only imagine what it takes to serve as a chief for 34 years. The care and love for his people, the vision he had. I wanted to thank the chief for bringing that up. Next, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a young gentleman, singers, hanged up. We're going to go right into the rest of the program. Traditional, men's traditional dancer move forward. This young man hails from Saddle Lake. His name is Dakota Cardinal. This young man here also has been one of the role models in our nation to the younger dancers. He's been traveling quite extensively this past summer. He went down to Minnesota. He was in Manitoba with the boys. He's been going stateside now with his partner quite a bit, and I'm very proud of him. The dance he chose when he was a young man was traditional, and this particular type of dance represents the warrior from the tribe. That warrior, the regalia he adorns. People say the ones that aren't familiar with powwow, they say, "Oh, you wear a costume?" That's not a costume. That's his regalia. As you'll see eagle feathers on him. You see the porcupine on his headdress, porcupine hair, the beads, countless beads. The scout that took care of the tribes back in the early days. They would be sent ahead. They would be sent days ahead before the tribe was to move. They would make sure it was safe from other warring nations. And their job was to protect the people, the children, the old people, the elders. And they were there to protect all of us. This is part of the teachings that come from this type of dance. So with that, we're going to ask the drummers to sing a French traditional song. And with that, we'd like to ask you to keep an eye on his footsteps, his footwork. I think they're going to do a straight. There's a couple different types of dance that this style does. He does a sneak up, straight song, crow hop. He does a duck and dive. There's about 4 to 5 types of songs, but this one is going to be a straight traditional. And we would like to thank Dakota for being here. Dakota's my son. Myself and Shannon, my wife Shannon, this is our youngest son, along with his little brother there at the Drum River. And we'd like to thank him for being here. He's been very helpful also on our journey. Ahau. singers. Thank you, Dakota. As you've seen, that honor song that Dakota had performed for the people is it resonates with what we're trying to do here as far as proactive work, as far as protecting the people so that nothing ever happens like this again for the countless universities and colleges. That's why we have a lot of this harm reduction approach where we can be understanding and we can have cultural rooms, we can have smudging ceremonies, pipe ceremonies, round dances. That is part of the work that's involved with making sure reconciliation happens. That is reconciliation. So with that, I wanted to thank Dakota for being here, and I wanted to thank the singers for performing that song. Next, I wanted to introduce to you some of our also local performers. I wouldn't say performers, they are gifted artists. They hail from Kikino, the Kikino Métis Northern Lights Square Dancers. It is my pleasure to introduce them. They also come from a long history of teachings of their culture, very powerful culture. And like Gary had mentioned, the early years of how the Portage and there's a Northern Lights. There was also some other student school bodies that were before Portage, and there was some elders that had a sit-in. Oh, geez, that was years ago. And they actually sat and they forced the governments, the provinces to accept us, that we should be in charge of the education. We know what's best for our people. So with that, I want to introduce you the Métis Northern Lights Square Dancers. Aho.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick introduction. The Kikino Northern Light Dancers started in 1978. And all these years later, they're still going. You know, what we're here celebrated and what we're here recognizing today, it affected the Métis just as much. We were forced into those schools, and we always had to find reasons after to celebrate. So the first dance, the Kikino Métis Northern Lights are going to be doing, the Kikino Northern Lights will be doing the duck dance, which was often celebrated in the spring. So once again, if you watch the movements of the dance, they're kind of incorporating how the ducks act when it's springtime, when they're looking for their mate. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause, the Kikino Northern Lights.
we wanted to thank Kikino Square Dance for being here. I wanted to apologize in my earlier introduction. I made it also come across and failed to mention the countless other tribes that were affected, and it wasn't on purpose. I truly apologize. Treaties 1 to 11, right across Canada, had residential schools, right from the New Brunswick area, right across on the eastern seaboard, right across Canada. Countless residential schools. Some are still in existence today. Some have been taken down because they're a constant reminder. Some are turned into universities. But I would like to offer apologies to the Métis people of this land also, that they have truly also suffered. Their great grandparents, along with their grandparents, they were the ones that they faced the brunt of what we're talking about here today. And we talk about the baby boomers, the ones that are 60, 50, 67 years old, 60 years old. Those ones also faced things like day school. Day school was another form of abuse. And then the government comes out with these programs that are compensation, as they call it, money for pain, money for trauma. And in turn, we continue to find ways to erase history, to say, all right, we've done our part, we can kind of turn the page, but we'll never be able to turn the page and erase memories, erase scars, physical scars, ailments, loss of eyesight, hearing. Some were crippled in these residential schools. There's very countless stories of abuse, children being thrown downstairs, children being locked in closets, locked in little boxes, children being burned in incinerators, young little girls being impregnated from the staff. We can go on and on. This is true. This is a reality. And in turn, those little girls, when they gave birth to those children, they didn't want it to be known that this happened. So what would happen to those little babies? You can only imagine. This is a harsh reality. And it's not to offend anybody. It's not to make you, but we are here to talk about the truth. And I have to make mention of that. I'm going to call up one of our also local leaders. I'm going to ask him to come forward, say a few encouraging words to the people. This gentleman also hails from one of our local communities, nations. I'm going to say nation. We are a nation within a state. We say a nation within a nation. Well, in order for Canada to be considered a nation, they need to own land. And as far as I know, we never sold our land. To me, you need to be a country before you actually have land. So with that, that's political stuff. So with that, I want to introduce Mr. Leonard Jackson, Councilman from Beaver Lake. Aho.
How nascem trau kahkiota anos kapito kaki ipisitus koai guguano tugota ka astatugoma mukaj koin gasksia tanti gipitu tagoya tinawe. Ego mina ugu te ka ngamoga no. Kan gamu chugusto. Ego ugu ta our neighbors. Kikanoche. Gusto te pisito squat chugu ta anu tuta ka pisistri tum. Ego mino ka kiota kanigana chuguta Portage College. Kakio, iguame pimam skutame, kas, tanse, ikipitu tahtik, uga, awasak. Mokajugam makaman kiskisia. Igua, ano chugam muta pipik squatama, kom, aya. Nistaminanot, muisaktihan, ikipitu tagoya. Ikaw kachigama asamina ngituan, ikaw kachigama kawangiskisia. Sko batsiake. Ikaw muti nawe istamina nutawe kipito tewista residential school makai sihatik. Ikaw it kept going on. There was the 60 scoop, the day school, Kakiogama. I'd like to thank everybody for showing their support here today and what we call reconciliation. And when I think about reconciliation, it's an agreement between two parties that come together in an agreement. And from what I've seen in the past, and from what the elders have talked about, it's about forgiveness also for what happened to the children in the past, and not also the children, but also to the parents and the grandparents. And it goes on. And I would just like to acknowledge some of the people that here that put this hard work into make this happen today. I know Nancy Broadbent a little bit, and she was always instrumental in being involved with Native culture. And also to Robert, I'd like to thank him for inviting us here today to come and say our piece in what reconciliation is all about. And also to Darcy. I know he's very active in his culture, his tradition, and for the concern of his people, of this nation that he called. Very thankful also to the Métis dancers here today, showing us a little bit, some about their footsteps and the way they perform. And it all tells a story of how we get our movements and our from the animals. And I don't really know what else to say to you today, this morning, except I know it's a little chilly and it's a little cold, but like resilience is always good. Except naskum tana, when naskum not kutawi no, no chute piegue. Yokse, I hate naskum tanamin.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Right away, we're going to get right back into the programming. We're going to warm up our dancers here. Kikano, Métis square dance. Come on in. Help.
How about a big round of applause for Darcy McGilvery, ladies and gentlemen? I'll be brief as I can. Pride is a huge thing. After everything you endured and everything you've been through, pride is a huge thing to have. So we have a lot of pride here in the community of Lac La Biche, our school. Us Métis, we're brothers to our European ancestors, and we're brothers to our First Nation ancestors. So we take pride in that. And this here is our pride and joy. This is the Red River Jig, ladies and gentlemen. First up, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the group, Mr. Trevor White and Janelle DeRoche. 2 changes. Here we go. And all the way from Buffalo Lake Métis Settlement, Matt Reed and Danielle Patno, ladies and gentlemen. All right, next up we have Kyle DeRoche and Savannah Hammond. Ladies and gentlemen, since 1978, proudly the Kikino Northern Lights, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll introduce real fast here the young gentleman on guitar from Buffalo Lake Métis Settlement. That's Kyron Reed, ladies and gentlemen. And one of our most sacred instruments to the Métis people, Karen Dion on the fiddle, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to shout out a good friend of mine who's has a history in square dancing, and I'd make him dance right now, but he threatened me. Earl Maldo, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, yes, yes. He used to square dance back in the day. You can't give me detention no more, Mr. Maldo. So I'm going to turn things over to Mr. McGilvey, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Kikino Northern Lights. Thank you very much for having us out. Thank you.
Once again, another clear example of talent, passion, a clear vision of what they wanted to show us here today. I want to give a shout out to the dancers who braved the chilly weather to be with us here. And they were 100% right when they said, you know, the roots of the ancestry of the Métis peoples in Canada. You know, when we talk about how we had to survive back in the day, the trade, the hunting, the pelts, the fur, commerce.
Yeah.
That's what built this nation that we see today. And they were very instrumental in that. So I wanted to thank our relatives from our neighboring nations for being here with that. We're going to move forward into the next part of our program. And next, I'd like to introduce to you a young lady who hails from Saddle Lake also. Her name is Shalena McGilvery. Shalena is going to demonstrate a form of dance that is here to, she's been called upon the Portage College to come and share this form of dance in a way of healing. As you see before you, she dances jingle. This is a jingle dress. And this dance was brought to us by the Anishinaabe, way down eastern, way down into the States, Eastern Canada. And I believe from the stories that were told to us how this form of dance was created, an elder, a man, a family man, he had a sick child, a daughter, I believe. And nothing was helping the child get better. Through countless days of prayer and frustration and worry, he prayed and prayed, and he had vision. He eventually he had vision. How can my daughter get well? This form of dance came to him in a dream. The jingle dress. Now move forward. Today we use the jingle dress in many ways in our powwow circle. When we ask for healing dances, this is one of the particular types of dance that we ask to come forward and help us out, along with the grass dancers. As you see, some of the dresses, they adorn at least 365 cones for each, representing each day of the year. Shalena hails from Saddle Lake. She's a child of, she's an 8th child from a big family. She's my youngest daughter, and we wanted to thank Shalena for being here. And we're going to ask the singers to sing her, I believe, a straight song. Singers. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Shalena McGilvery. Thank you for being here, singers, if you may. Oh. Shalena, for being here. And Shalena was involved with the Miss Teen Canada pageant down in Toronto. She was one of the finalists down there, and I'd like to thank her for being my daughter, choosing to be my daughter. I want to thank her. Love you. With that, I wanted to thank the singers. Next, ladies and gentlemen, this next gentleman I wanted to introduce to you is obviously needs no introduction because this fellow is really taught me a lot about patience. He taught me a lot about understanding because when I first met him, it was roughly almost 30 years ago. We used to have a round dance over here at Cragen Hall. Part of the Portage program used to be they'd have a round dance at Cragen Hall, a little hall about 15 miles away. And I met this young, brash fella. He was loud, he was very direct, but he was actually very respectful. My dad introduced me to him. He said, I want you to come and meet this gentleman. He said, Utani gan tsugutan kawitsi his uta. Umsisa ikakwe tutamag tsugutan. He told me this man here will help you get the message through. My dad told me this probably 30 years ago when I met this next individual I'm going to introduce. I'm talking about Robert Rayco. So I'd like to ask Robert Rayco to come forward. Robert has been very helpful. He's been one of our, once again, another tip of the spear, as we say, to get the message. On behalf of the student body, the Indigenous population, Métis, Indigenous, all the different nationalities that come from different parts of the country, he is also one of the voices that speak on our behalf. So with that, I want to thank Robert. Come forward.
Good morning. Thank you for everyone who is here. Thank you for everyone who's online. Thank you to all the performers, the dancers, the singers. So, welcome to the Portage College Sunrise Ceremony. So this day we talk about truth and reconciliation. The truth about how government and religion came together to destroy the indigenous nations by killing the Indian and the child. From 1876 to 1996, these schools were funded by the government and run by various Christian churches. About 70% were run by the Roman Catholic Church and the remainder by the Anglican, Methodist, and Presbyterian Church. A total of 130 church-run schools were in operation. Roughly 150,000 students attended these schools. Many of these children experienced abuses for verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual at the hands of abusers who, in the name of God, taught the children how to be abusive. In these schools, children experienced loneliness, homesickness. Fear was a constant. Hunger was a constant. And abuse was constant. Many children died at these schools in various ways. Many at the hands of their abusers, but also from running away and dying from the elements. For many children, their day started with being awoken by the dorm monitors, angry and violent, and being treated like animals. So many of the children were as young as 4 years old, and instead of loving parents to awaken them, they had been awakened by people who hated them because they were indigenous. From eating a breakfast that as today we would consider slop, to baby half a day of schooling, to be put in fields, to be slaves in fields, gardens, and cutting wood in forests. The children were slaves, ill-dressed, ill-fed. Boys as young as 10 did a man's work, but were fed very meager rations and were always hungry. So I want you to take a moment, close your eyes, picture yourself as a parent, knowing that as a survivor yourself,
having to let your child attend these schools. How do you feel? What do you think? How do you deal with everything that you went through and knowing that your child is going through the same and having no power to stop it and having nobody to listen to you? In many cases, generations of families attend these schools. Far too many experience the trauma. Far too many children die with parents never get the closure as to why or how, and too many never seeing their children again. For survivors talk about burying friends, brothers, sisters, relatives. The children knew, but trauma and pain and forced silence by threats of violence helped keep many quiet. This day is about remembering the survivors, honoring the survivors, realizing that for their strength, for their resiliency, and were to survive under harsh conditions. For they are the heroes. They survived to tell their stories. But we also remember the ones who didn't make it home, the ones who lay hidden in fields, always waiting to be found. For the ones whose lives ended for no other reason than because they were indigenous. As in any war, the innocent suffer. The war against Indigenous peoples of Canada took many lives of innocent children. They suffered, their suffering ended. But still today, many of the survivors suffer from memories that haunt them, by nightmares and grief in silence for the innocent child lost inside them. Sorry, y'all, my nose. For many, For many, their life at residential school never ended. Their nightmares never stopped. They took what they learned behind those walls of trauma and they suffered, many in silence and in fear. But thankfully, they found their voices, they found their strengths, and they talked, and they fought to be heard. We applaud them for their courage so that all could be witness to the trauma and violence they had to endure for far too long. We talk about reconciliation. What does this mean? To each of us, it means something different. But only by action will we see the true meaning of reconciliation. So I challenge everyone here and online to help with reconciliation and do an action for healing. Each of us has a role to play. Everyone must find their role and work to reconciliation. I want to thank my mother who found her strength to share her stories, as she is a survivor of residential school, and through her resiliency and love, showed us her children to love and taught us strength, respect, and courage to never give up and never back down. So today on this day, we look at reconciliation, a healing between two nations in this country, and let's help and let's hope that it can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Ladies and gentlemen, as we get closer towards the closing of the program, I wanted to reintroduce Soul to come up and sing her second song, Reconcile. Uh-huh.
Hello, so I'm about to sing my song Reconcile. And I know that when it comes to reconciliation, we have to forgive and we have to move from two paths to one. That way we can move on together and we can heal together. So I'll start now. Round and round the wheel goes. Round and round it repeats itself, but we've got to break that cycle of pain and misery so we can all be free. Hush, my darling, no fear, my darling. A sun is rising on our lives. Move towards that guiding light. Feel our healing, our wounds are healing. No longer bleeding forgiveness comes when all is said and done. Reconcile, reconcile. Round and round the wheel goes. Round and round it repeats itself. But we've got to break that cycle of pain and misery, so we can all be free. Lay down your weapons, lay down your hate. Feel the forgiveness as the earth shakes. We are her children seeking redemption. They wounded us, but we are still moving. No more pain, no more hate. Reconcile, reconcile. Stop that cycle of pain. Round and round the wheel goes. Round and round it repeats itself. But we've got to break that cycle of pain and misery, so we can all be free. Reconcile, 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 reconcile. Thank you.
Thank you. So, wow. When we talk about energy and feelings reverberating through you when you hear something like that, something powerful that comes from the heart, comes from the soul. That's a clear example of that. And I want to thank Soul for bringing her gift of song to us. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna end with a round dance from the Singers, round dance song. This song here and the intent of why we're gonna close with a round dance song is we would ask the people to leave those negative energies here. Leave them here so we can take care of them here with the fire. This fire you see in the center here, it's meant to help carry our prayers to where they need to go. That tobacco that was lifted this morning, there is also some pipes that will be lifted on behalf of this event today. Like many other places, there's a lot of walks that are going to be happening today and tomorrow. On Monday also. Because this movement here is right across Canada. Even down into the States, certain parts of the state, because they've been truly affected like we have all been. I wanted to share a quick verse with you. And this one comes from my friends back home. Maybe some of you know them, Fawn Wood and Randy Wood. And I was kind of standing to the side, and the whole purpose of this ceremony as we know it is to lay in remembrance of those that didn't come home and those that continue to live with the after effects. And this song was composed by Fawn and Randy, and it shared in times of healing and mourning. And a lot of people asked for this song, and I've been trying to remember it as best I can. So it kind of goes something like this. way ahead, ho, hey, hey, way ho, way hey, way way hey, ho, way hey, ho, hey, hey. Remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Way ho ho, hey ho ho. Aha, singers. Round dance. So we can ask everybody to come in, join hands. We're gonna end with a round dance and leave that energy here. We will take care of it the best way we know how. And we hope you have a wonderful day. We wanted to thank everyone for being here, for braving the cold, the dancers, all the dancers, the performers, artists, the organizers, the town of Lac La Biche, administration, communications. We see some of the people that have taken care of us with the media, everyone. And with that, we hope you have a wonderful day and continue to do that challenge that Robert had laid out for you earlier. Do an act of kindness, do an act of progress. You know, let's continue to share and be kind to one another. Aho. Hey, hey. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, we wanted to invite you in. I believe there's still some coffee and refreshments, and I believe the ladies will be handing out some bags here. So, we wanted to thank you all for being here, each and every one of you. From our family to yours, we wanted to thank the singers. Hi. Thank you all.